Page 2478, page 2479, page 2480, page 2481, page 2482, page 2483, page 2484, page 2485, page 2486. Senator Barakaka Gabai.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Babakaka Bashir Garbai. I represent Borno Central Senatorial District. I stand to move that the Senate approves the votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 8th May 2019. I saw second. Well, I saw move.
Senator Samayam Moist.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Samanyang Imo East. I rise to support the motion ably moved by Senator Babakaka that votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 8th May 2019 be adopted. I so second, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that votes and proceedings on Wednesday, 8th May 2019 be approved, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Votes and proceedings on Wednesday, 8th May 2019 is hereby approved. Let me acknowledge the presence of staff and students of Jarega Academic Kefi Nasarawa State who are in the gallery to observe our Senate proceedings. I wish them fruitful observation of the Senate proceedings. Now sit down. Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished and respected colleagues, the first order of the day is the second reading of the National Institute of Legislative and Democratic Studies Act Amendment Bill 2019. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 17th April 2019. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Babakaka Bashir Garbai to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Senator Babakaka Garbai.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I have decided to step down because I'm going to make some wider consultation before coming back to the Senate again. So that is coming back to the Senate. So,
thank you. Well noted. These are the Senate.
The vice man.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day, the second reading of the Maritime University of Nigeria, Lokoja Establishment, etc. Bill 2019. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Tuesday, 9th April 2019. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Isaac Alfa to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Senator Alpha.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I, Senator Isaac Alpha, Kogi East, rise to move a motion to present a bill for an act to establish the Maritime University of Nigeria, Lokoja, to make provision for its management and administration and for other related matters, 2019, second reading. Assume.
Senator Barajibe.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Senator Barajibe. I represent Kano North. Mr. President, to second the motion ably moved by Senator Adi Alpha that for a bill for an
Sorry, Senator Jibril. Go ahead, Senator Alpha, sorry. Yeah. Carry on, go ahead.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Thank you for giving me the honor of leading the debate on the general principles of this bill, which seeks to establish a maritime university in Lokoja. This bill, which will develop the capacity of Nigerians to quickly and effectively take control of the maritime activities across the African continent, was first read on Tuesday, 9th April 2019. The background. Maritime education, which is the crux of this bill, is a field of studies and training connected with the maritime domain and industries such as fisheries, pharmaceuticals, aquaculture, offshore energy, mining, shipping, logistics, maritime technologies, maritime business services, maritime security, regulations, as well as naval defense. This education can be obtained from 4 major sources, such as shipping companies, private providers, other public institutions, and specialized maritime universities. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, as you are aware, African nations, including Nigeria, depend on the sea and sea resources for most of their energy needs, food supplies, and commercial transportation activities, with over 70% of Nigerian imports and exports conducted by the sea. That implies that the ability of our country to really unlock the potentials in this sector, dominate and exploit the resources and potentials of the over 26,000 nautical miles of vast coastal line of Africa and over 10,000 kilometers of Nigeria's navigable waterways will depend on the skill of the Nigerian maritime professionals. Nigeria, as a country of over 200 million people, can boast of only 2 maritime universities, one in Oron in Akwa Ibom State and the other in Okorenkoko in Delta State. The two certainly cannot adequately cater for the aspirations of our youths, who are really becoming determined in playing major roles in the maritime sector, especially as more and more waterways are becoming navigable in our hinterland. Intent of the bill. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill seeks to establish and provide a legal framework for the Maritime University of Nigeria, Lokoja, in order to build and develop local content in this sector. The highlights of the bill includes, Clause 1 of the bill provides that the university shall be sited in Lokoja. Clause 2 provides for the functions of the university, which shall be 1. Provide academic and professional programs leading to award of first degrees, postgraduate research, and higher degrees in engineering, scientific, and allied professional disciplines relating to maritime resources. Provide to all persons of diverse race, creed, sex, or political conviction equal opportunity for learning. To provide effective economic utilization, exploitation, and conservation of the country's maritime resources through its postgraduate training. Identify and find solutions to the technological problems and needs of the maritime industry. Provide for the maritime industry the result of training and research, and endanger the practical applications of these results in the maritime industry. Liaise with the institutions involved in training, research and development of technologies in the maritime sector, and engage in any other activity provided appropriate for a maritime university of the highest standard. Lokoja at its choice location. You may recall, Mr. President and dear colleagues, that Nigeria has the second largest length of waterways in Africa and an extensive coastline of about 852 kilometers. These waterways center on its longest rivers, rivers Niger and Benue. These two rivers ultimately run into each other at Lokoja, the Kogi state capital. Lokoja lies about 7.8 degrees north of the equator and 6.7 degrees east of the meridian. It is a trade center and close to the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Near Lokoja in Ajaokuta are metallurgical facilities and iron ore mines. Kogi State is contiguous to 9 states in the Federation, including the FCT, Niger, Kwara, Enugu, Anambra, Edo, Ondo, Ekiti, and essentially is a transit route to 16 other states, including the FCT. Lokoja, on the other hand, also straddles some strategic roads to at least 5 geopolitical zones out of the 6 in Nigeria. Therefore, Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, the central location of this proposed university will encourage participation from the far north and other locations that are distant to the proposed maritime universities at Orong and Okere-Nkoko in Akwa Ibom and Delta states respectively. Significant benefits of the bill. Please permit me, my distinguished colleagues, to outline here a few of the important benefits that Nigeria stands to gain when we establish this university. Increased skill and capacity will enable local companies to effectively demand participation right in lifting of crude oil, which currently forms over 90% of the nation's external trade, but totally excludes indigenous maritime operators. It will enable Nigerians to quickly and effectively take control of the maritime activities along the West African and African regions so that they can become maritime authorities. Consequent increase in effective participation of Nigerian-owned vessels will also help to reduce foreign companies' influence, exorbitant charges, and price fixing of freight rates, which have inflationary tendencies. Improve our level of maritime technology and know-how. As Nigerians acquire more clout and confidence, more joint venture partnerships will be formed with foreign companies to create synergy, leading to exchange of technology, increased competition and efficiency, and overall economic growth and development. In conclusion, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, many of the existing maritime educational providers in Nigeria only offer training targeted at meeting some selected needs. Many players in the industry, therefore, train their personnel on the job, and some of these training programs are not certified. Furthermore, public institutions that offer maritime education have for many years been restricted to only post-secondary educational delivery by offering diplomas and certificates in some fields of maritime services. These have put many learners at risk in terms of quality and contents of their training. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill seeks to cure the above two scenarios. Let me emphasize that the maritime sector of our economy has enormous potential, which requires high-level scientific, technical, and administrative skills to drive, and for Nigeria to attain a very significant level, it requires a minimum of at least 6 maritime universities. The proposal to upgrade the Maritime Academy, Oron, the Maritime University, and the recent passage of the Maritime University of Nigeria, Okere-Nkoko, on May 4, 2017, are right steps and correct steps taken to plug the depth of maritime universities in Nigeria. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the maritime sector of our economy as we speak is unfortunately, I say again, dominated by foreign interest because of the low-level indigenous capacity. And I urge us to do all we can to revive that trend. The enactment of this bill into law will turn around the fortunes of Nigeria as a country. I therefore passionately urge you to give your support to this bill. In line with Order 77.3, the Compendium of Financial Implication is attached as an excuse. I urge you once again, and I thank you, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues to support the second reading of this bill. Thank you, and God bless.
Yes, Senator Rajibri.
Mr. President, I am Senator Baroji Brain. I represent Kano North. Mr. President, first of all, let me commend Senator Isaac Alpha for the commitment he has shown in bringing motions and bills that are crafted to have direct impact on his people. He has shown the desire to find ways of improving the lives of his people. But I also want to say that the idea of creating additional maritime university in Nigeria is really commendable. It is nice. We have only one maritime university in Nigeria, situated at Okorokonko in Delta State, and one maritime academy in Boron. Now, to begin to think of having another maritime university is necessary and in order. But I want to add that my good friend and colleague did not make wide consultation before putting up this bill. Already as we speak, we have a federal university newly established at Lokoja. It's a very new university, and we are aware that we are set up a modality in the Senate here that every state, any state that has a university, a federal university, the Senate will not consider any bid to establish another university there. Well, but this is a specialized university. We can look at the need, as I said earlier, for this university and get it cited, particularly looking at the fact that is the proposal to set it up in a different geographical zone. But the Secretary as Alpha should have understand the need for equity. You can't continue to concentrate university in a particular city or town. You should have looked somewhere else. I know that Kogi State has a lot of towns that are riverine. You should have looked elsewhere to propose the setting of this university there. But already Lokoja has a federal university, which is new. So I need to guide this Senate, being the chairman of the committee. This idea is good, as well as it is, but location is a problem. I will advise Senator Isaac Alpha. This is a very, if something comes to my committee, it won't fly. So it's better for him to take it back, look for a different location. It's a very good idea. You can't have two federal universities in one city, in one town. It's not going to work. If it comes to the committee, it's not going to fly. So I advise him to withdraw the bill and look for another location, and then bring it back. I will support it, and I'm sure my committee will consider the fact that this university is a specialized university. It's not like the conventional university, and there's a need for additional maritime university. So I so advise. But if he doesn't want, if he thinks he can go ahead with it, that'll be fine. But the best thing is to look for a different location. Thank you, Mr. President.
Chief Whip.
Mr. President, sir, my name is Shola Adeyeye from Osun Central. My own contribution will be short. As things are, it is no secret that the federal universities across this republic are extremely poorly funded. You take the same basket of money, you create more universities, and you spread the money around into more places, and you get even greater and worse underfunding. With every cell in my body, I will continue to oppose every new university until the existing ones are well funded. Otherwise, we are just fostering 419 on our children. If there is a need for maritime studies, let's have 5 universities in maritime areas to have faculty of maritime studies. But to keep creating new ones is nothing but fostering 419 and gimmickry on our children. It is not fair to the young ones. Therefore, I pray that all of us will oppose this new university and will oppose any new one until the existing ones are well funded. God bless you all.
Senator Aliru.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I remain Mohammed Adam Aliru, representing Kebbi Central. Mr. President, as desirable as this bill is, I find it very difficult to support because, as the Chief Whip has said, the present universities are grossly underfunded. And that's why what we have coming out of our universities today are half-baked graduates. It is not surprising today to see a university graduate who cannot write a good letter in English. And this is due to lack of funding of the universities. So I oppose the establishment of a new university, just like the Chief Whip has said. We should concentrate on funding the existing universities, and not only that, if there is need for any maritime studies, the existing universities can accommodate that. We have University of Lagos, very close to the Atlantic Ocean. We have University of Port Harcourt, very close to the Atlantic Ocean. And we also have University of Nsukka. So, the University of Benin, they can take care of all this. And even the universities that are located in the hinterland can offer maritime studies. I don't see any justification for establishing a maritime university at this point in time when universities are crying of chronic underfunding. So I urge my colleagues to advise the sponsor of this bill to withdraw it and maybe represent it when financial condition of the of the country improves. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Jimmy.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, I am a lover of education, and this appeals to me. However, in the light of all that has been said, I believe there is a need for the mover of this motion to do a lot more work on this bill before bringing it. And I suggest, Mr. President, that we ask him to withdraw the bill. And so I move a motion, which I pray will be supported, that this bill be withdrawn by the mover in order to go and do more work on it. before bringing it back for consideration. I so move, Mr. President.
Senator Alpha.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, just like the last time when I brought up a motion and I was advised to withdraw it, and I didn't, 4 of the resolutions were accepted, and the one that was contentious was referred to the petroleum upstream or downstream for discussion. Unfortunately, this particular bill, Mr. President, is a very well thought out bill. I did a lot of work on this bill. My worry here is that we shouldn't attach geographical locations to anything we do in this Senate. So, Mr. President, having done a lot of work on this bill, consulted widely, I declined to withdraw this bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, distinguished colleagues, those in favor that this bill be read the second and say aye. Those in case say nay. Nays have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is the second reading of the installation of carbon monoxide detectors in motor vehicles, houses, dwelling places, offices, workshops, and factories, establishments, etc. Bill 2019. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 24th April 2019. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Bola and Dada to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Senator Dada.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Prince Bola Dada of Ogun West. I hereby start to make a presentation for a bill for installation of carbon monoxide detectors in motor vehicles, houses, dwelling places, offices and workshops, and factories.
Yes, go ahead, Senator Dada.
I wish to report that carbon monoxide is a silent killer. It has no smell, no taste, and no sound. It's also difficult for people better than inhaling to know exactly what's happening to them. When inhaled, some of the signs are dizziness, headache, confusion, and sometimes lead to death. Carbon monoxide is a product of incomplete combustions in combustion systems. Exposure to this danger occurs through either in the gas fireplaces or oil burning furnace or portable generators, charcoal grill, also in motor vehicles from the exhaust pipe of cars. According to a report published by Global Body Disease in 2015 update, it was stated that 86,353 people died from unintentional poison worldwide in 2015, with 70,004, that represents 90% death, occur in low and middle income countries. However, if the global estimate of the number of international poisons were freely accessible, the poison mortality would be much, much higher than this. In the United States alone, the studies show that between 1999 and 2010, a total of 5,149 deaths occurred of carbon dioxide poison. I convinced that in Nigeria, we recorded a higher fatality figures of carbon monoxide poisoning during the period in question. For instance, it was reported in Daily newspaper, edition 26 September 2018, by a family of 6 in Ibuteke community, Ibuteke local government, area of River State, lost the life of 2 generators. The entire family was wiped out completely. Distinguished colleagues, we cannot fold our arms and do nothing to address the ugly threat to the good health and well-being of Nigerians. Consequently, I choose to sponsor this bill with a view of encouraging Nigerians to use carbon monoxide detector alarm systems in motor vehicles, in homes, in houses, in dwelling places, offices, workshops, or factories, in preservation of life and good health of Nigerians. I'm persuaded that the installation of carbon monoxide detector alarm system in homes, in vehicle and dwelling places, aforementioned, will assist greatly in preventing the death, untimely death associated with these carbon monoxide poisons. As the detector will trigger on the alarm system that makes it possible to know there's a leakage of carbon monoxide. Mr. President, sir, in view of the ongoing and for many other reasons, all my colleagues and civil colleagues to support the second reading of this bill and ensure its passage. This bill has no financial implication whatsoever. Mr. President, sir, and colleagues, I may mention this. In the traffic about a year ago in Lagos, in heavy traffic, a couple suddenly failed to move forward when the traffic light was giving go ahead to go. The 2 couples collapsed. They inhaled carbon monoxide, and people had to come out and take them out. Unfortunately, they were able to resuscitate the wife. The husband died. I lost my first cousin in Atlanta last year to carbon monoxide poisoning. Carbon monoxide was leaking through the exhaust pipe and finding its way into the air conditioning systems, and it's staying inside the car. And he was hailing it for a while, and then suddenly he had to park the car, and we found it dead in it. So many houses in Nigeria, we have leakages through generators, but we have detectors or detection systems that can alarm and create awareness. Many families in Nigeria will be saved. I will appeal to colleagues to see the danger of carbon monoxide. It's a silent killer. If people want to commit suicide, what they do is they park their car into garages, wind down their glasses, and on the engine and sleep, and just sleep off and die. As is a way to kill yourself. But we want to prevent them in this country. So I will appreciate if my colleagues can wholeheartedly support this bill and make sure we are preventing untimely death in our country. Thank you very much.
Yeah, GSP.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues. Let me commend Senator Dada for his concern regarding carbon monoxide related deaths. Honestly, even in my local government, we've lost a couple who just wedded, and then they were relaxing in the room and put the generator on. Before morning, they were dead. So I understand where you're coming from. But regrettably, Mr. President, the bill is defective in many ways. One, according to our rules, this bill is supposed to come with financial implication. I've not seen that. Secondly, and most importantly, he has not told us who purchased these detectors. Is it himself, or the government, or individuals? Because so many people in my constituency cannot afford it. I don't know about his own constituency. And you cannot burden the government to provide these to individual homes, offices, and shops. I believe, sir, that by word of advice, this will appropriately come as a motion where we can urge individuals in view of the danger associated with carbon monoxide that should, as much as possible, try to put detectors so that it can wake them up in case of carbon monoxide poisoning. So my advice, therefore, is that my friends should withdraw this motion, this bill, and come by way of motion so that we can all contribute and see a way of encouraging our people to avoid this unnecessary situation. by providing for themselves, if they can afford it, the detectors which are made the allusion to. So in view of this, I'm not supporting this bill. My suggestion, therefore, is that the bill be withdrawn and let there be a proper motion for us to debate the issue.
Senator Gobri.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues. My friend Dada, thank you for this concern. But there is a problem here. Having detection in motor cars, in houses, dwelling areas is going to be a problem. It is going to add additional burden to the problem we have in this country. But if we say we limit it to the factories, yeah, it's understandable, and I agree that it should come in a form of motion. Because if it is in factories, carbon monoxide is certainly monitored. Because if you have a fuel, LPF, that you use, and if it has sulfur content, that will lead to protection of sulfur dioxide. And that is going to be very harmful to the environment. And of course, the presence of carbon monoxide will trip the filter, and that is why you find a lot of dust, pollution coming out of a cement chimney if you have a cement industry within that area. So I think I support the idea that it should come in form of motion. It should be withdrawn because it's not necessary to have all this installed in motor cars and houses. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Senator Dada.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, sir. I appreciate the contribution of my colleagues. Well, in this particular observations you've made, maybe I will bring it back in terms of motions. But come back another time to say, so there's no financial implications. But if you look at general health, in this country these past 2 years, I'm sure if you keep statistics, over 2,000 people have died through carbon poisons. But generators in homes, well, individuals have cars. The new generation of cars in America have carbon monoxide detector inside them. The one just in Nigeria, I'm not sure they have it. But if the government or the authorities can compare individuals to have carbon monoxide installation in their cars, it will save life. The government will save life. That's purpose. That's purpose. To advise them the danger of carbon monoxide. So, Mr. President, sir, I think if you want to comment on motion, I think I will package it and bring it back to our motions.
All right. Noted. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day is the consideration of the report of the Committee on Niger Delta on the NDDC 2018 budget. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Peter Nwobushi to move the motion for the Senate to consider the report of the committee.
Senator Peter Nwobushi.
Distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate do consider the report of the Senate Committee on Niger Delta Affairs on the 2018 budget of Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. I so move.
Senator Babakaka Gaba.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Babakaka Bashir Garbai, representing for North Central Senatorial District. I stand to second the motion moved by Senator Peter Nwobushi. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Niger Delta on the 2018 Niger Delta Development Commission NDDC budget say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Go ahead, Senator Nwobushi.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, once again, I'm Senator Peter Nwobushi, representing Delta North.
budget of Niger Development Commission, NDDC. Introduction. The President and Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, through a communication to the Senate, presented to the Senate a budget proposal of 346 billion 513 million naira only for the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, for the fiscal year 2018 as follows. Personnel expenditure, 19 billion 521 million 650,000 naira only. Overhead expenditure, 12 billion 737 million 350,000 naira only. Internal capital expenditure, 2 billion 883 million naira only. Development projects, 311 billion 371 million naira only. Total expenditure, 346 billion 513 million naira only. Revenue sources. The revenue sources for the proposed budget are made up of the following. The revenue brought forward, 10 billion 500 million naira only. Federal government contribution, 81 billion 882 million naira only. Federal government contribution, that is unpaid arrears by federal government, 33 billion 981 million naira only. Oil companies' contributions and others, 220 billion naira only. Ecological funds, 0. I wish to mention that since the inception of the NDDC, nothing has come in from the ecological funds. Other internally realized income, 150 million naira only. Total revenue, 346 billion 513 million naira only. Committee consideration. Upon referral, the committee carried out its legislative mandate on the submission and noted that the development budget is basically a rollover of the 2017 budget in furtherance of the act of the drive to ensure completion of ongoing projects. The management of NDDC, in their report for 2017, disclosed a receipt of 301.8 billion out of the 364.4 billion, indicating a revenue performance of 83%. The report also disclosed an expenditure of 291.3 billion out of the 364.4 billion, indicating 80% expenditure performance on both the recurrent and capital expenditure on 2017 budget. The committee observed that in the revenue projections of the Commission, statutory contribution by the federal government was placed at 81.8 billion. However, the Appropriation Act 2018 reflected a decrease in statutory transfer to the NDC to the tune of 71.1 billion. It is noteworthy that the continuous intervention by the National Assembly to enhance the funding capacity of the NDDC resulted in the passage of the NDDC Amendment Act 2018. The immediate benefit of the Act is that Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas Company, which had not contributed to the funding of NDDC, is now an active contributor. There is also an increase in the revenue projections from the oil and gas companies. 5, the committee adopted the submission of the Commission on personnel expenditure, overhead expenditure, and internal capital. However, the committee noted that the budget for non-project capital is reduced from 14.4 billion in 2017 to 2.8 billion in 2018 to free funds for development projects. The Senate Committee on Niger Delta and the House of Representatives Committee on NDDC unanimously resolved to recommend that the lifespan of the budget be extended to enable the Commission achieve full implementation. Accordingly, the 2018 NDDC budget is recommended to lapse on 31st of July 2019. In view of the foregoing, the committee recommends as follows: that the revenue profile for the Commission for the 2018 is as follows. The revenue brought forward 10 billion 500 million naira. Federal government contribution 71 billion 195 million and 23,000 naira 529 kobo. Oil companies contributions and Nigerian liquefied natural gas and others 230 billion 687 million 22,691 kobo. Other internal generated revenue 150 million. Total 346 billion 513 million and 46. The committee recommended the overheads and internal capital estimates and consequently recommend the following as the expenditure profile. Personnel expenditure 19 billion 521 million 650,000. Overhead expenditure 12 billion 737 million 350,000 only. Internal capital expenditure 2 billion 883,000 and 46,000 naira only. Development projects 311 billion 371 million naira only. Total expenditure 446 billion 513 million and 46,000 naira and 222 kobo only. That the lifespan of the 2018 NDC budget will lapse on the 31st July 2019. Prayers. That the Senate do consider and approve the 2018 budget proposal for the Niger Delta Development Commission NDDC in the sum of 346 billion 513 million 46,222 naira only. That is the budget. We have other attachments.
Colleagues, any comments before I put the question? And I'll put the question. Go to the prayer then. The prayer that the Senate do consider and approve the 2018 budget proposal for the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, in the sum of 346 billion 513 million 46,220 naira only, as recommended by the committee. Those in favor that we hereby approve the recommendation say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fifth order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the Committee on Youth and Sports Development on the investigation of the appointment of the new Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, by the Chief of Army Staff. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Obin Naokba to move the motion for the Senate to consider the report of the committee.
Senator Ogba.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, Obin Naokba, Ebonyi Central. I rise to move that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Youth and Sports Development on the investigation of the appointment of the new Director General of Nigeria National Youth Service Corps (NYSC) by the Nigerian Chief of Army Staff. I so move.
No, not yet. Let's get someone to second it. Senator Boniface.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to support the motion that the Senate will receive and consider the report of the Committee on Youth and Sport Development on the investigation of the appointment of the new Director General of the National Youth Service Corps by the Chief of Army Staff. I do second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Youth and Sports Development on the investigation of the appointment of the new Director General of National Youth Service Corps by Chief of Army Staff. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator, will come and lay the report and then present.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Senate at the sitting on Tuesday, 30th April 2019, under matters of urgent public importance, under 42 and 52, deliberated on appointment of new Director General of National Youth Service Corps (NYSC) by the Chief of Army Staff, and accordingly mandated the Committee on Youth and Sports Development to investigate the matter and report back on Wednesday, 8 May 2019. Number 2 has the members of the committee. Number 3, the committee's action. The committee invited the Chief of Army Staff for a meeting on Monday, 6 May 2019. The Chief of Army Staff was represented by Brigadier General J.A.T. Ochaboni, the Acting Army Secretary. During meeting, the representative of Chief of Army Staff made a written submission and oral presentation on the procedure followed for the appointment of the new Director General of National Youth Service Corps (NYSC). Submission of Chief of Army Staff as represented by the Brigadier General J.A.T. Ochaboni. The National Youth Service Corps (NYSC) Act Cap 84 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 provide that there shall be for the Service Corps a Director General who shall be appointed by the President, Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Act further provides the tenure of the DGs to be a period of 3 years. It is pertinent to mention that Nigerian Army progressed the appointment of the DG NYC having been approved by the CNC. The Chief of Army Staff nominates eligible senior officers through the Honorable Minister of Defense for the consideration of the CNC. The appointment of Major General S.Z. Kaziri, appointment as Brigadier General as the DG NYC was approved by Mr. President effective 18th April 2016. He was promoted to the rank of Major General effective 5th December 2018. while still the DG NYC. Accordingly, as the end of his tenure drew closer, 3 stable qualified officers were nominated for the consideration of Mr. President, amongst which Brigadier General S. Ibrahim was appointed. Their nominations was conveyed as directed by the Chief of Army Staff via a letter AHQMS GI 300-207 dated 13th February 2019 through the office of the Honorable Minister of Defense to the Presidency, while same was forwarded by Honorable Minister of Defense to the President via a letter number AE HMOD 81 ABJ dated 21st February 2019. Subsequently, the Honorable Minister of Defense conveyed to the Chief of Army Staff the President's approval of Brigadier General S. Ibrahim's appointment as DG NYC via a letter number AE HMOD 73 ABJ dated 18th April 2019. In accordance with this approval, the Office of the Chief of Army Staff, through the Army Headquarters Department of Military Secretary, promulgated the appointment of Brigadier General S. Ibrahim as the new DG NYC, effective date 18th April 2019. As is the procedure, this occurrence would eventually be published in the Federal Government Gazette. In view of the aforementioned, I am to humbly inform this respected Senate that the Chief of Army Staff followed the due process in the appointment of Brigadier General S. Ibrahim as DG NYC in accordance with the provisions of the NYC Act Cap N84 LFN 2004. Observation. Following the interaction with the representative of the Chief of Army Staff, Brigadier General J.D.T. Ochebula, the committee made the following observations. 1. That 3 suitable qualified officers were nominated for the constitution of Mr. President, amongst which Brigadier General S. Ibrahim was appointed. They are as follows. 1. Brigadier General S. Ibrahim, PhD History. 2. Brigadier General M. Agi, M.A. History. Number 3. Brigadier General M. Kadia, BSc General Agriculture. 2. Their nomination was conveyed to Mr. President via number dated 13 February 2019 through the office of the Honorable Minister of Defense, while same was forwarded to the Presidency via number AEHMOD 81 ABJ dated 21st February 2019. 3. The Honorable Minister of Defense conveyed to the Chief of Army Staff the President's approval of Brigadier General S. Ibrahim for the appointment as Director General NYC via number. This is dated 18th April 2019. In accordance with this approval, the Office of the Chief of Army Staff, through the Army Headquarters Department for Military Secretary, transmitted the appointment of Brigadier General S. Ibrahim as the new Director General effective 18th April 2019. As it is the procedure, this is the same procedure used in posting previous Director Generals of NYC. Finally, after thorough analysis of the presentation of the Nigerian Army to the committee's finding is as follows. That the appointment of Brigadier General S. Ibrahim as the Director General of the National Youth Service Corps is in accordance with the provisions of the NYC Act, Cap N84 LFN, Section 5 of the NYC Act, and that no law was violated in the appointment of Brigadier General S. Ibrahim as the Director General of the NYC by the Chief of Army Staff, as presidential approval was given before the official announcement. Recommendation. The committee, having investigated and considered the matter as directed by the Senate, presentation made by the Chief of Army Staff, observations and findings, hereby recommend that due process was followed in the appointment of Brigadier General S. Ibrahim as Director General, the National Youth Service Corps. Conclusion. We wish to express our profound gratitude to the President of the Senate and distinguished senators for the opportunity given to us to serve. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any comments? If not, I'll go straight. Yes, Senator Barajibin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Senator Barajibin. I represent Kano North. Mr. President, I want to commend the committee for doing a thorough job. And we've seen that the whole thing was done in line with the law. And it also shows that the Senate is performing its function properly by going in to check if certain things are not so clear or things are not really done in the way that there's clarity in it. So the person that brought the motion also should be commended because the process has been open. It's made open now and everybody is able to see that what was done in accordance with the law. So I want to urge our colleagues that anytime things are not properly open, people probably don't understand why something is done. It is our duty here to investigate, to make sure that we find out the truth about any matter. So what has been done is proper, and we should continue this way so that Nigerians will be kept abreast of happening in our system. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Senator Baraj, for your contributions there. I think you're very much on point. I think that is why we're here at all times to ensure that the interests of Nigerians and due process is followed. And let me also commend the committee for being quick to respond and getting to the bottom of it and be able to find out the truth and the facts. So let me just put the question then. If your recommendation is that we all agree that due process was followed in the appointment of Brigadier General S. Ibrahim as Director General as reported by the Committee on Youth and Sports. Those in favor of the recommendation say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So once again, on behalf of our colleagues, let me commend the committee for the effort and the job well done in bringing this report to us on time. And also our own colleague that raised the issues is also brought to our attention. And if there are many more of these kind of issues that affects people, affect Nigerians, we must play our own role in ensuring that we bring it to the attention of us here and we do our own work in looking into the issues that might have any concern for people. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that we stand down to consideration of the 6th order of the day and suspend the 7th order until the committee is ready. I've been told they will be ready later, and we take the 8th order thereafter. I so move.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion ably moved by the Senate leader. I so second. Thank you.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the 8th order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the Conference Committee report on the FCT Hospital Management Board Establishment, etc. Bill 2019. Distinguished senators will recall that the Senate and the House passed different versions of the FCT Hospital Management Board bill. The Conference Committee of both houses have met and harmonized differences in accordance with Senate Standing Order 88. Mr. President, we wish to invite Senator Philip Aduda to represent Senator Dino Malaya, the briefed, to move the motion for the Senate to receive and consider conference report.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, as you are aware, the distinguished Senator Dino Mila is not around because he's bereaved, and as such I'm taking the report as the Senator for the FCT. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that the Senate do receive and consider the conference committee report on the FCT Hospital Management Board bill. I so move.
Senator Gubri.
Thank you very much, sir. Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion to provide for the establishment of the Hospital Management Board of the Federal Capital Territory and for matters connected herewith. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do receive and consider the conference committee report on the FCT Hospital Management Board, accept Mr. Bill 2019 SB 69, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Can I send to Aduda to lay and then present the report?
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. This is the conference committee report on the Federal Capital Territory Hospital Management Board Establishment, etc. Bill 2019 SB 69. Introduction. The Federal Capital Territory Hospital Management Board Establishment, etc. Bill 2016 originated from the House of Representatives. It was passed on 1st of June 2016 and transmitted to the Senate for concurrence. The Senate passed the bill on Wednesday, 12 July 2017 with difference. Consequently, a conference committee was constituted in the Senate on Thursday, 20th July 2017 to reconcile the areas of difference which appeared essentially in one clause of the bill. The purpose of the conference committee was to harmonize the area of difference that was observed in the two versions of the bill passed by both chambers and make appropriate recommendations for adoption by the two chambers. Meeting of the conference committee. The conference committee met and deliberated on the two versions of the bill as passed by the two chambers and resolved accordingly. Clause 17. Clause 17B deals with the expansion of the departments of the board from 10 to 12 departments. After extensive deliberation, the conference committee adopted the Senate version. The Senate version expanded the scope of the department to include cardiovascular and orthopedic departments. Recommendations. The conference committee hereby recommends for the adoption and passage into law the harmonized version of the bill and recommendation as follows. That the Senate do consider and adopt the conference report on a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Hospital Management Board of the Federal Capital Territory and for matters connected therewith, 2019 SB 69. I so move.
Comments? Yes, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I remain Mohammed Adam Aleru representing Kebbi Central. Mr. President, I rise to comment on the establishment of Hospital Management Board for the Federal Capital Territory. This is long overdue because FCT, as we all know, has all the features of the state and it should be run like the state. And virtually all states in the Federation have Hospital Management Board, and I see no reason why FCT should not have it. To the extent that FCT is expanding every day, this is a territory that was conceived to have only 750,000 people. But now we have well over 3 million people in FCT. So the hospital services are overstretched, and there is need for a very efficient way of managing hospitals in FCT. And the issue of establishing the board is the right direction. So I support it, and I urge all my colleagues to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, former Minister. We appreciate your contribution, your vast and knowledgeable contribution on the subject matter. So that, let me put the question in. That the Senate do consider adopt the conference report on the bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Hospitals Management Board of the Federal Capital Territory and the matters connected therewith. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, sir, relying on Order 2.1, I wish to... Are you ready? Okay, we take the next. Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, are you ready? We'll take the sixth order of the day, which is the presentation and consideration of the Conference Committee report on the National Fertilizer Quality Control Bill 2019. Distinguished senators will recall that the Senate and the House passed different versions of the National Fertilizer Quality Control Bill 2019. The Conference Committee of both houses have made and harmonized the differences in accordance with the Senate Standing Order 88. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Bola Handada in place of Senator Abdullah Adamu to move the motion for the Senate to receive and consider the conference report.
Senator Dada.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Senator Dada, representing of the West, member of the Agri Committee. I propose that the Senate do consider the Conference Committee report on the National Fertilizer Quality Control Bill 2019 SB 338.
Senator Dokwe.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that the Senate will receive the Conference Committee report on National Fertilizer Quality Control. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Dada, present the report, please.
Thank you, Mr. President, sir. This bill was laid yesterday. This report, sir. And the Conference Committee for the Act of Regulating Manufacture, Importation, Contribution, Distribution, and Quality Control of Fertilizer in Nigeria and for other matters. The bill for, I hear 9% the report. The bill for regulating manufacturing, importation, distribution, and quality control of fertilizer in Nigeria and for other matters arises 2019. The Conference Committee was announced in the Plenary on the 24th of April 2019 to harmonize the differences in the bill of the Houses of Representatives. What the bill should do now is for adoption, that doesn't represent the adoption and the recommendation. In carrying out this legislative assignment, the committee met on the 10th, on Tuesday, 30 April 1919, to consider the difference in the bills in order to harmonize both versions of the bill and came up with some recommendations. The recommendation as follows. The committee observed that the single version is more comprehensive and has gone through a scrutiny in the legal department after its committee to the committee and the legal department of the National Assembly. The committee therefore recommends that the Senate version of the bill be adopted. So, conclusion, the committee wishes to thank the Senate for giving the opportunity to serve in this capacity and recommend that the harmonization version of this bill shall be the conference report recommended for adoption. I so move.
Any comments? Or if not, let me put the question then. There are no comments. Those in favor that the Senate do approve the conference committee report on the National Fertilizer Quality Control Bill 2019 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the seventh order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the Conference Report Committee report on the proceeds of crimes bill 2019. Distinguished senators will recall that the Senate and the House passed different versions of the proceeds of crimes bill 2019. The conference committee of both houses have met and harmonized differences in accordance with Senate Standing Order 88. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator David Umaru to move the motion for the Senate to receive and consider the conference report.
Senator David Umaru.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am David Umaru, represent Niger East Senatorial District. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that the Senate will consider the conference committee report on the proceeds of crimes bill 2019 SB 376. I so move.
Senator Samayaw.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion moved by Senator David Umaru that the Senate will consider the conference committee report on the proceeds of crimes bill 2019 SB 376. I so second, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do consider the conference report committee on the proceeds of crimes bill 2019 SB 376. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Senator David Moore.
Very distinguished colleagues, this is the conference committee report on a bill for an act to make comprehensive provision for the confiscation, forfeiture, and management of properties derived from unlawful activities and for related matters. The Proceeds of Crime Bill 2018 was passed by the House of Representatives on the 24th July 2018, and in the Senate it was passed on the 17th April 2019. However, differences were noticed in the two versions of the bill as passed by the two chambers. Consequently, a conference committee was constituted in the Senate on Wednesday, 22nd April 2019, and in the House of Reps on Wednesday, 24th April 2019 to reconcile the areas of differences wherein the same was noticed in the two versions of the bill. The mandate of the conference committee, therefore, was to harmonize areas of differences in the two versions of the bill as passed by the two chambers and make appropriate recommendation for adoption. The membership of the two committees are stated in paragraph 20. The conference committee, I'm reading paragraph 3. The conference committee met on Tuesday, 7th May 2019 to deliberate on areas of differences. In the course of the deliberation, it was observed that a wide range of irreconcilable differences exist in the two versions of the bill, as passed by the two chambers, whereas some of these differences are structural and have affected the arrangement of clauses, numbering and cross-referencing. Others are consequential amendments and editorial corrections, which have affected the form and substance of the bill. For instance, parts 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of the Senate version do not correspond with parts 6, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of the House version. Therefore, because of the obvious differences in the two versions of the bill, any attempt to harmonize them by adopting any area of difference from any of the bills will defeat the legislative and legal intent of the bill. In view of that, the conference committee considered the option of either holistically adopting the Senate version or the House of Representatives version. After extensive deliberation, the committee in its wisdom resolved and adopted the Senate version of the bill. In the conference committee's view, the adoption of the Senate version is a welcome development as it lays to rest the aforementioned challenges. Recommendation. The committee, having met and considered the areas of differences noticed in the bill as passed by the two chambers, hereby recommend as follows: that the Senate do consider and approve the conference committee report on the Proceed of Crime Bill 2019 as recommended. I so move. In conclusion, on behalf of members of the conference committee, we wish to thank the National Assembly for the opportunity to provided to resolve the areas of differences in this very important bill, and we commend its adoption by this distinguished Senate. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Tazi.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Senator Chukwuka Otazi. I represent the good people of Enugu North Central District of Enugu State. I would like to speak on this very important piece of legislation that has lingered for a long time in the Senate, that has finally, we are coming to a conclusion on that. This is one of the major landmarks of this Senate under this leadership that we are making to ensure that we strengthen the anti-graft fight in this country. It must be on record that this Senate, more than any other Senate, has done more in the passage of bills that has to do with anti-corruption fight in this country. This Senate, I want to bring it on record because it's very, very important that I speak at this point in time. As the chairman of the Senate Committee on Anti-Corruption and Financial Crimes, we have been able to make sure the whistleblowers, this Senate, did it. This Senate handled mutual legal assistance, MLA. This Senate passed the NFIU that lingered for 14 years. This Senate is handling and concluding the process of crime today. These are very important hallmarks that has given very big image to this country worldwide. That today, the efforts of the European Union to blacklist this country, if not for the timely intervention by the Senate, we would have been blacklisted. They made their announcements, but when we presented our report card of what this Senate has done, or what the EU did, they were withdrawn. It has never happened that the European Union will talk about any country and bring their sanctions and they withdraw it within a week. That has been done for this country because of this Senate. So, Mr. Senate President, and the members of this colleague, you beat your chest while this Senate is winding down. This Senate will beat its chest that it has done what other Senates have not done, because we have understanding here, because this Senate has done very well. So having said that much, Mr. President, I want to say that we just have a small dissing in the report of my chairman, the powerful chairman of the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters. We concluded this issue yesterday, and the conference committee met yesterday to ratify these things here today. Not 7th, but 8th. You know, so we handled it. That's just a small thing I want to say that, because yesterday, which was come back, we concluded. Then we met yesterday to ratify it, and that's why it's here. Having said that much, Mr. President, I want to thank you for giving us this opportunity on handling this matter. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Senator Otazi, there for your contributions and for highlighting some of these achievements that have been possible under this Senate and through your committees, both judiciary and also particularly anti-corruption, because these are things that will strengthen the institutions that fight corruption and truly will put us in a good stead in fighting corruption. And I'm happy that some of these major landmark legislation has done under your time and on the Senate for us to be very proud of on the role that we have played in fighting this menace called corruption. On that point, let me now put the question on this conference report that the Senate do consider and approve the conference committee report on the process of crime bill 2019 as recommended. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. With this, now we've passed the process of crime, and we hope that very soon the executive would put in place the appointment of those that will head this agency so that they can swing into action immediately. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the ninth order of the day is the consideration of the report of the Committee on Diaspora and Non-Governmental Organizations on the confirmation of the nomination of Honorable Abike Dabri Erewa for appointment as the Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Diaspora Commission. Distinguished senators will recall that the report of the committee was laid on Wednesday, 19th March 2019. Mr. President, we wish to invite Senator Ross Oko, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the consideration of the report.
Senator Ross Oko.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues. Senator Rose Oko, Cross River North. I move that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Diaspora and Non-Governmental Organizations on the confirmation of the nomination of Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa for appointment as Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of Nigerian Diaspora Commission.
Senator Gbenga Shafa.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Senator Gbenga Shafa from Lagos East Senatorial District, I rise to second the motion that the Senate do consider the report on the screening of nominee for confirmation for the appointment as the Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, by name Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Diaspora and Non-Governmental Organization, the confirmation and nomination of Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa for appointment as Chairman, Chief Executive of Nigeria Diaspora Commission. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Rosso could present the report, please.
Report of the Senate Committee on Diaspora and Non-Governmental Organizations on the confirmation of nominee as Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. The Senate at its plenary sitting on Wednesday, 21st November 2018, considered a request by Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces for the confirmation of nominee as Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. The Senate referred it to the Senate Committee on Diaspora and Non-Governmental Organization by order of referral dated Wednesday, 21st November 2018 for further legislative action and to report back with its recommendation. Screening of nominees. The committee interviewed the nominee, Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa, and received explanations regarding her qualifications, experience, competence, and integrity to assume the position of Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa has a string of qualifications and has a wide-ranging experience in the public sector and the legislature. Chief among these was when, as House of Reps member, she pioneered the Committee on Diaspora from 2009 to 2011, during which time she moved the bill on the Nigerian Diaspora Commission bill, which was subsequently passed by this House. She is therefore suitable and qualified for the position. Recommendations. The Senate Committee on Diaspora and Non-Governmental Organization, having screened and after a careful scrutiny of the curriculum vitae and other accompanying documents of the nominee, and having regard to her exposure experience in government, politics and public service, performance, qualifications and competence, recommends Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa as Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. We so submit.
Yes, Deputy Senate President.
First, let me commend Senator Ozoko for a job well done, and I agree with her entirely in respect of her conclusions and recommendations. I just have a question for her. I'm not sure I've heard anything about the membership of the committee, or is she going to be a sole administrator? A membership of the commission.
If you look at the last page, membership of the commission. We do not have a full membership yet. She was just recommended as the chairman, chief executive officer of the commission. Well, yes, that is for now. This is what we are giving. I suppose that the full membership will come later. But she's correct.
Yes, Senator Shafa.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Benga Shafa, again, I have to stand up and commend Senator Rose Oko for doing a very good job. I was at that screening, and the level of questions and the responses made by Honorable Abike Dabiri were on point. This is a clear manifestation and testimony of putting a round peg in a round hole. I want to commend the committee members as well, and to say that in whatever we are doing, what has transpired in this particular committee should stand as a reference point. Abike Dabiri was the one while in the House that brought about that bill on diaspora. It became a law by virtue of its passage, and now we have a commission, and by due providence, she happens to be the special advisor to the present government, and she's been compensated to do what she has worked on. This is like compensating hard work, diligence, commitment, and I believe that if we all latch in into this, it will assist our country and encourage a lot of young ones and those who are serving to do more. Thank you very much.
Binta Masi.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Binta Masi, Adamawa North Senatorial District of Adamawa State. Let me join other colleagues of ours or mine in congratulating Senator Uko for this wonderful job she has done, and now craving us to see to the passage for us now to see that Abike becomes the pioneer chief executive. And I don't want to say they are compensating her. I think she has done credibly well in discharging her duty given to her by the president of this great country of ours, and being the pioneer not only on diaspora, she again was a pioneer chair on media and publicity. And we've seen what she has done even when she was made senior assistant to Mr. President on diaspora. Even the one that just happened, that we saw Zainab coming out of an issue with the government of Saudi Arabia. It showed that any time a Nigerian in diaspora has an issue that needs the ear and the attentions of the government, Abike stands out to see that such issue is being addressed holistically in terms of diplomatic row or diplomatic engagement. And it's not out of point that she will be made the chief executive on that. So I want to congratulate the committee and congratulate us to see that she becomes the chief executive. And we know that good things await us, and Nigerians in diaspora obviously will be glad that Abike Dabiri becomes the pioneer chief executive. Thank you very much.
I don't think there's anybody else against the nomination, so leader can move to committee of the whole.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate is also to committee of the whole to consider the report.
Leader, Senator Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I motion that we move to the committee of the whole to consider the report.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, I think it's a bit straightforward, so I'll put a question. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Honorable Abike Dabiri for appointment as Chairman Chief Executive Officer of the Niger Diaspora Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. Chairman, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate reverse plenary for the charge report progress.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that we revert to plenary to report progress as of second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate and the Committee of the Whole consider the report of the Committee on Diaspora and Non-Governmental Organization on the screening of Mr. President's nominee for appointment as the Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission and approve the nomination of Honorable Abike Dabiri as Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Distinguished colleagues, let me now put the question for confirmation. Will the Senate hereby confirm the nomination of Honorable Abike Dabiri for appointment as Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Diaspora Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Honorable Abike Dabiri is hereby confirmed as Chairman, Chief Executive of the Nigerian Diaspora Commission. On behalf of the 8th Senate, let me congratulate Honorable Dabiri for this appointment, which is well deserved, and wish her a successful tenure and a great ambassador for the country. Leader of the Senate. Senator Guy.
Your Excellency, my distinguished colleagues, I'm so happy the honorable member David has been an active lady, and she has done very well in trying to assist all the people in diaspora, especially Nigerian diaspora. So Abike, she can work very well, sir, but my suggestion is that there should be membership of the board so I can work effectively. Just chairman and check that without membership of the board. So I'm appealing that let's quickly appoint the membership of the board and the secretary of the commission so that she can work more effective. Thank you. It's an advice, sir.
It's noted. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, because the Senator Emmanuel Poka is not around. I will move that we stand down the consideration of the 10th order of the day till another legislative day.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that we stand down the 10th item on the order paper to another legislative day as to second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the 11th order of the day is the consideration of the report of the Committee on Science and Technology on the Raw Material Research and Development Council Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2019. Distinguished senators will recall that the report of the committee was laid on Wednesday, 24th October 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Robert Boniface, Professor, to move the motion for the consideration of the report.
Senator Boniface.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Robert Boniface, representing Oduno Senatorial District. I rise to move that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Science and Technology on the Raw Material Research and Development Council, Bill 2019, SB 593. I so move.
Senator Ben Murray Bruce.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Ben Murray Bruce, representing Bayelsa East. I want to second the motion that the Senate do consider a report on the Committee on Science and Technology on the Raw Materials Research and Development Council Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2019 SB 593.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Science and Technology on the Raw Materials Research and Development Council Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2019 SB 593. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Boniface, kindly present the report.
President, the bill for the act to repeal and reenact the Raw Materials Research Development Council was presented to Senate and has been referred to the Senate Committee for necessary legislative action. Mr. President, members of the committee are listed on page 2, Roman 2 of the report. The methodology employed is in line with the normal legislative procedure of Senate, and this is listed on page 3, Roman 3. The stakeholders' observation after due consideration of the bill have been summarized on page Roman 4 of the report. Some sections and clauses were retained, some sections and clauses were amended, some sections were retained and renumbered, some sections were amended and renumbered, and there were some newly inserted sections and subsections as listed on page 4, Roman 4. Mr. President, the distinguished senators, we have subjected both the oral and written submission of relevant stakeholders to critical analysis and exhaustive deliberation, taking into consideration those areas that are in conflict with smooth operation of Raw Material Council and other extant laws, those that have security implications, and those that are ambiguous. The committee amended and deleted where necessary. Those provisions of the bill that are contentious in one way or the other. We therefore recommend that the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria do consider and pass this bill as repealed and reenacted. On behalf of the members of the committee, Mr. President, I wish to express our gratitude to the Senate for giving us this opportunity to serve in this regard. We therefore pray that the Senate adopts these recommendations of the committee. I so move.
If there are no comments, Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate go to the Committee of the Whole to consider the report.
Mr. President, I second that the Senate resolves to the Committee of the Whole to consider the report.
So those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, there are 31 clauses. Nothing controversial here, so I will move swiftly through them. Clauses 1 to 10. Those in favor say aye. Stands part of the bill. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 11 to 20. Those in favor that stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 21 to 30. Stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Short title, clause 31. Those in favor that stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that schedule one stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the explanatory memorandum on page 23 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And those in favor that long title on page 1 stands part of the bill say aye. And those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate reverse to plenary for the charter report progress.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole consider the report of the Committee of Science and Technology on the Raw Materials Research and Development Council repeal and recommend Bill 2019 and approve as follows. Clauses 1 to 30 as recommended, schedule as recommended, explanatory memorandum as recommended, short title as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in Committee of the Whole? Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the bill be now read the third time.
Mr. President, I second that the bill be read the third time.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that this bill be read third time say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the bill for an act to repeal the Raw Material Research and Development Council Act, Cap R3, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, and reenact the Raw Material Research and Development Council Act and for related matters 2019, third reading.
A bill for an act to repeal the Raw Materials Research and Development Council Act, Cap R3, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, and reenact the Raw Materials Research and Development Council Act and for related matters 2019 is read for the third time and passed. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the 12th order of the day is the consideration of the report of the Committee on Science and Technology on the Federal Institute of Industrial Research Bill 2019. Distinguished senators will recall that the report of the committee was laid on Wednesday, 24th October 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Robert Boroface to move the motion for the consideration of the report.
Senator Boroface.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to move that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Science and Technology on the Federal Institute of Industrial Research Bill. I so move.
Senator Samayawo.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, Samayawo, Imo East. I rise to second the motion moved by Senator Ajayi Borofis that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Science and Technology on the Federal Institute of Industrial Research Bill. I so second, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Boroface, can you present the report, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill was first presented to the Senate on the 12th December 2017 and subsequently referred to the committee for due legislative process. Membership of the committee is listed on Roman page 2, and the objectives of this bill are also listed on Roman page 3 of the report. Mr. President, the normal legislative process was followed in the consideration of this bill as stated on Roman page 4. The stakeholders considered this bill and the following recommendations have been made as listed on Roman page 5. Some sections and clauses were retained. Some sections and clauses were amended. Some clauses and sections were retained and renumbered. Some sections and clauses were amended and renumbered, and some new sections and subsections were inserted, while some sections and subsections were deleted, as enunciated on Roman page 5. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, we have submitted both the oral and written submission of relevant stakeholders to critical analysis and exhaustive deliberations, taking into consideration those areas that are in conflict with other extant laws, and those that are ambiguous, the committee amended and deleted where necessary. Those provisions of the bill that are contentious in one way or the other. We therefore recommend that the Senate do consider and pass this bill as amended. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I want, on behalf of my committee, to express our gratitude for giving us opportunity to serve in this regard. We do move that this, or I move that this recommendation be approved. Thank you, Mr. President.
Leader of Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate goes to the Committee of the Whole to consider the report.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second that the Senate resolve into a Committee of the Whole to consider the report.
Mr. Yai, don't disturb the leaders. You're performing your duties very well. That's why I don't want Senator Yai to distract you. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, there are 42 clauses here. This is nothing controversial here. Those in favor that clause 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 2 and 3 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clauses 4, 5, and 6 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 7, 8, and 9 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 10 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 11 to 20 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 21 to 25 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 26. Yes, go ahead.
I'm wondering why the headquarters, maybe the chairman will offer explanation, the rationale behind the headquarters in Lagos, that the structure of the institute shall have its headquarters in Lagos. Is there any explanation? That is where it... What? 13, plus 13.
He's asking, is there a reason why the headquarters is in Lagos? Why is the headquarters in Lagos, he's asking. Clause 26 and 27. Those voted that clause 26, 27 stands part of bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 28, 29, and 30 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 31 to 40 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 41 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of the short title, clause 42 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of schedule 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of the explanatory memorandum on page 31 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And those in favor of the long title, page 1, stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. Chairman, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate reverse plenary for the charter for projects.
Back to plenary to report progress.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Colleagues, the Senate and the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee of Science and Technology on the Federal Institute of Industrial Research Bill 2019 and approved as follows. Clauses 1 to 40 as recommended, schedules as recommended, explanatory memorandum as recommended, short title as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the bill be now read the third time.
Mr. President, I second that the bill be read the third time.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the bill be read the third time say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Federal Institute of Industrial Research for the development of micro, small, medium, and large industries aimed at rapid industrialization and socio-economic development of Nigeria and for related matters 2019, third reading.
A bill for an act to establish the Federal Institute of Industrial Research for the development of micro, small, medium, and large industries aimed at rapid industrialization and socio-economic development of Nigeria and for related matters 2019 is read the third time and passed. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the 13th order of the day is the consideration of the report of the Committee on Science and Technology on the Nigerian Council of Food Science and Technology Establishment, etc. Bill 2019. Distinguished senators will recall that the report of the committee was led on Wednesday, 24th October 2018. Mr. President, once again, we wish to invite Senator Robert Boniface to move the motion for the consideration of the report.
Senator Boniface.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to move that Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Science and Technology on the Nigerian Council of Food Science and Technology. I so move.
Senator Gilbert Naji.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Gilbert Naji. Enugu East. I rise to second the motion ably moved by Senator Belfast, Chairman, Senate Committee on Science and Technology. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Belfast, kindly present your report.
Thank you, Mr. President. The bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Nigerian Council of Science and Technology and for related matters have been considered by the Senate and referred to the Senate Committee on Science and Technology for further legislative action. Membership of our committee is listed on Roman page 2. The objectives of the bill are listed on Roman page 3. The methodology approach is in line with the legislative procedure of Senate. In considering the bill, Mr. President, some sections and clauses were retained, some sections and clauses were amended, some sections and clauses were retained and renumbered, some sections and clauses were amended and renumbered, and our new insertion as shown on Roman page 5. Mr. President, in considering this bill and making this following recommendation, the intention of the committee is to make Nigeria more productive in the agro-allied sector of the economy, to encourage small and medium enterprises, industries, and be more innovative in food science and technology development, and encourage scientific application in line with global practice and acceptability. Mr. President, on behalf of all the members of the committee, I wish to express our gratitude for the Senate for giving us the opportunity to serve in this regard. I therefore move that this recommendation be approved. Thank you, Mr. President.
Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate resolves into committee of the whole to consider the report.
Mr. President, I second the motion.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, this has 28 clauses. Again, I don't see any controversial issues, so I'm going to move swiftly through them. Those in favor of that clauses 1 to 10 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of that clause 11 to 20 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of that clause 21 to 27 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of that short title 28 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of schedules 1 and 2 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And those in favor of long title on page 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And those in favor of the short title clause 28 stands part of the bill say aye. And those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
So not amendment. It's just clause 12, practicing fee. It should be first day of January, not 1st of January of every year. First day of January.
Mr. John, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate reverse plenary for the charter report progress.
Mr. Chairman, I second that we refer to plenary to report progress.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Science and Technology on Nigeria Council of Food Science and Technology, Establishment Etc. 2019, and approved as follows: clauses 1 to 27 as recommended, schedules 1 and 2 as recommended, short title as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the bill be now read the third time.
Mr. President, I second that the bill be read the third time.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the bill be read third time say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Council of Food Science and Technology and for related matters 2019, third reading.
A bill for an act to establish Nigeria Council of Food Science and Technology and for related matters 2019 is read the third time and passed. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, due to the absence of Senator Jibril Barrow, unaware with absent, I move that we stand down the consideration of the 14th order of the day till another legislative day.
Mr. President, I second that we stand down the 14th order of the paper for another legislative day. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the 15th and last order of the day is the consideration of the reports of the Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petitions in respect of A. Petition from A.O. Aderele and Associates on behalf of the Guild of Medical Directors against the Federal Capital Territory Administration and Abuja Metropolitan Management Council for alleged multiple taxation and land use charges on private hospitals. B. Petition from a group of yet-to-be reinstated staff of Federal University Dusuma against Federal University Dusuma, Katsina State, for discriminatory treatment by the university. C. Petition from Olushola or Roybere, Esquire, on behalf of Mr. Gilbert Fiabo against the Petroleum Training Institute, PTI, Efrun, Delta State, for unlawful termination of his appointment for alleged fraud and financial impropriety. D. Petition from Mycin Law Practice on behalf of Ilaje Global Think Tank Initiative against Stella Oketete of Nigerian Export-Import Bank, Nexim Bank, for fraudulent misrepresentation regarding her qualification to hold the post of Executive Director at Nexim Bank. E. Petition from Yusuf Saidu against the Bureau of Public Enterprise, BP, for non-payment of his salary and entitlements by the Bureau. F. Petition from Mr. C.A.C. Joseph, KSJI, against the University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital, Enugu, for alleged unjust retirement from service. G. Petition from Professor Emmanuel Ume Lekwa, Imaga, against the University of Nigeria and Nsukka, UNN, for his wrongful dismissal from the service of the university for alleged gross misconduct. H. Mr. Ominia Boss, Fodiri, Austin, against the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, for alleged wrongful dismissal from the service of the corporation. I. Petition from Mr. Musa Adeshina Akinyemi against the Nigerian Shippers Council for his dismissal from the service of the council without any wrongdoing. J. Petition from Dr. George A. Omogo against the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology and the Nigerian Institute for Trypanosomiasis Research for non-payment of his emoluments. And K. Petition from Ms. Monica Okafo against the National Biotechnology Development Agency, NABDA, Abuja, for alleged wrongful termination of her appointment by the agency. Mr. President, the single senators will recall that these reports were laid on Tuesday, 30th day of April 2019, Wednesday, 28th November 2018, Tuesday, 6th December 2018, and Wednesday, 20th March 2019, respectively. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Samuel Anyawu to move the motion for the Senate to consider the reports of the committee.
Senator Samayo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues, Samayo Imo East, I rise to move that the Senate do consider the reports of the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions in respect of A to K as read by the leader of the Senate. I so move, Mr. President.
Senator Anduba.
Mr. President, most distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Andrew, representing Anambra South in the Brazil. I rise to second that the Senate do consider the reports of the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions in respect of the names listed. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Samayo, kindly present reports, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues. The Senate will recall that on Tuesday, 5th December 2017, Rising Order 41, Senator Mao A.O. Abunwa Abianot drew the attention of the Senate to a petition from A.O. Aderele, an associate on behalf of the Guild of Medical Directors against the Federal Capital Territory Administration and Abuja Metropolitan Management Council for alleged multiple taxation and land use charges on private hospitals, and urge the Senate to look into the matter. I'll go to findings and observations, Mr. President, since everyone has it because of time. Item 5.0 on page 5, observations and findings. After carefully studying the written submissions and other presentations of the parties involved, the committee noted as follows. 1. That the Minister of the FCT, Mohammed Musa Bello, who had never disappointed the committee, once again requested the committee for time to study the petition. The result was that he settled 90% of all issues raised with a promise to look into those areas he could not immediately settle. And 2, that all the stakeholders in the petitions were satisfied with the outcome of deliberations on the issues raised. All the issues raised are available on bullet point 4.2. Recommendation. In view of the findings above, the committee wishes to recommend as follows: that the Senate do commend the FCT Minister Mohammed Musa Bello for alleged seeking peace for the residents of FCT and Nigerians in general, and for taking time to resolve the petition of the FCT Guild of Medical Directors who complain about their being overburdened by tripling multiple taxation on private hospitals in FCT. Mr. President, this matter has been resolved amicably, and the guilds of the directors have written to the Senate to appreciate our commitment. Thank you, Mr. President.
The distinguished colleagues, I just go straight to the recommendation that the Senate do commend the FCT Minister, Mohammed Bello, for always seeking peace for residents of the FCT and Nigerians in general, for taking time to resolve the petition of the FCT Guild of Medical Directors who complain about being overburdened by crippling multiple taxation on private hospitals in FCT. Those in favor of the recommendation say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Salmon, next report.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Senate will record that on Thursday, 7 June 2018, Rising Order 41, Senator Joshua M. Lidani, Gombe South, drew the attention of the Senate to a petition from a group of yet-to-be restated staff of Federal University, Dusima, Katsina State, against Federal University, Dusima, Katsina State, for discriminatory treatment by the university, and urged the Senate to look into the matter. In line with Order 41.3, the Senate referred the petition to the committee. I go straight to findings and observations, Mr. President. Observations, item 5.0 on page 5. After carefully studying the written submissions from both parties and listening to oral presentations from the petitioner and the Federal Capital Commission, the committee noted as follows. 1. That for some reasons unknown to the committee, the FCC kept saying they were still investigating the matter, only to come up with an unwritten conclusion that the matter was in court. The committee asked for evidence to that effect, which they could not produce. 2. That evidence abound from the written presentation of the petitioner, which was loudly corroborated by the respondent's written submission, that there was actually a case of discrimination against the petitioner. And 3. That while a good number of the group of unrestated staff of the Federal University, Dusima, were restated clearly on the basis of catchment area to refugee zone, others were clearly handpicked for other reasons beyond the reach of the committee. Recommendation. Having exhausted the list of those who should know something about the matter and find that there was indeed a case of discrimination, the committee wishes to recommend as follows. 1. That the Federal University Dusima be mandated to immediately restate and regularize the appointments of the petitioner, the group of unrestated staff of Federal University Dusima. 2. Subject those qualified to appropriate promotion, examinations/tests, and if they pass, promote them to the next rank to enable them catch up with their colleagues who have since been reinstated. 3, ensure that none of the petitioners is intimidated or victimized for bringing the matter to the Senate. And 4, the Senate Committee on Tertiary Education be mandated to ensure compliance. Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. Thank you for the opportunity to serve.
Any comments? If not, I'll put the question. Those in favor of recommendations 1 to 4, we approve, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you, Senator. And your next report.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Senate will record on Wednesday, 18th April 2018, rising order 41, Senator Sam Manyang will move his to the attention of the Senate to a petition from his constituent, Olushola O. Esquire, against the Petroleum Training Institute, a Furo Delta State, for unlawful termination of the appointment of Mr. Gilbert Fiyabo from the Institute for alleged fraud and financial impropriety, and urge the Senate to look into the matter. In line with Order 41.3, the matter was brought to the committee. Observation of findings. Item 5.0 on page 6. Observation of findings. After carefully studying the submissions and oral presentations of Barrister Dixon Sofiaha and the Petroleum Training Institute, the committee noted as follows. 1. That Mr. Gilbert Fiyabo was queried, suspended, and appeared before a disciplinary committee of the Petroleum Training Institute, Delta State, for being unable to account for the sum of 44,562 naira 40 kobo that was missing when he was the cashier of the institute. 2. That the officer was unable to exonerate himself before the committee for fraud and financial impropriety charged against him, and therefore the disciplinary committee recommended the termination of his appointment. 3. That the recommendation for the termination of the officer's appointment was approved by the Governing Council of the Institute and the Minister of Petroleum Resources in accordance with the Petroleum Training Institute Act, Cap P 16, Laws of Federation of Nigeria. 4. That the acceptance of the officer that his inability to account for the money under his custody was because of pressure of work, was a smack of general inefficiency and incompetence, and therefore could not escapulate him from the charge of fraud. And 5. That the act of the officer should have attracted dismissal, but the institute was lenient to have terminated his appointment instead to enable him process his entitlements from the institute. Recommendation. In view of the findings above, the committee therefore recommends as follows: that the Senate do uphold the termination of appointment of Mr. Gilbert Fiyabo by the Petroleum Training Institute, as approved by the Minister of Petroleum Resources, as the termination of the petition's appointment followed due process. And 2. That the Senate insists that Mr. Gilbert Fiyabo be paid all entitlements to him as a result of the termination of his appointment. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any comments? If not, put the recommendation. Recommendation that the Senate uphold the termination of appointment of Mr. Gilbert Fiyabo by PTI, as approved by Minister of Petroleum, as termination of the petition's appointment followed due process. And 2, that the Senate insists that Mr. Gilbert Fiyabo be paid all entitlement due to him as a result of the termination of his appointment. Those in favor of the 2 recommendations say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. Senator, next report, please.
Thank you, Mr. President, colleagues. The Senate will record that on Wednesday, 28 November 2018, President of 41, Senator Isa H. Isao, Bauchi Central, drew the attention of the Senate to a petition from Myson Law Practice on behalf of Elijah Global Think Tank Initiative against the representative of Nigerian Export-Import Bank, Nexim Bank, for fraudulent misrepresentation regarding her qualification to hold the post of the Executive Director at Nexim Bank, and urge the Senate to look into the matter. In line with Order 41.3, the matter was referred to the committee. I go straight to finding and observations. Finding and observations. After thoroughly going through oral and written submissions available to the committee from both parties, the committee noted as follows. 1. That on interrogating the respondent as to whether she had the 15 years post-degree qualification required to occupy as Executive Director in any financial institution in Nigeria by virtue of the CBS Circular of October 2015, as stated by the petitioner? She said no, but insisted that she was exempted by the Nexim Act. 2, that the October 2015 CBN circular actually stipulated an 18-year post-graduation experience and not 15 years, as the petitioner told the committee, out of which at least 13 years must have been in the banking industry and at least 2 as general manager, a much higher requirement than the petitioner actually stated in his petition. 3, that the respondent actually served as NYC member for 1 year as prescribed by law. 4, that because she did not meet the 18-year post-graduation experience, the committee could not support her continued stay as executive director of Nexim. She should accordingly vacate the office immediately. 5, that although she quoted Section 14 of the Nexim Act, which stated that Nexim was exempted from the provisions of Banking and Other Financial Institutions Act, the CBN circular of 15th October 2015, which was a circular to all banks and other financial institutions, revising assessment criteria for approved persons regime for financial institutions, disqualified her, and that the committee was unable to waive aside the circular from a regulatory body, the CBN, in favor of the exemption clause 14 of the Act, which was a waiver for operations of the bank, not qualification for office holders. Recommendation. Following from the observation above, the committee wishes to recommend as follows: that since Stella Okotede did not meet the 18-year post-graduation qualification requirement to assume office as executive director at Nexim or any other bank for that matter, she should be directed to vacate that office with immediate effect. And 2, that since there was proof that she served the mandatory 1 year as National Youth Corps member, the petitioner be ordered to apologize to her in writing for misrepresenting this fact about her. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, no comments are put to question. Those in favor of recommendation 1 and 2, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Sam, next report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate will record that on Wednesday, 18th May 2016, Senator Abdullahi A. Sabi, Niger North, rose on Order 41 and drew the attention of the Senate to a petition from his constituent, Yusuf Saidu, against the Bureau of Public Enterprises for an alleged non-payment of his salary and entitlement, and urged the Senate to look into the matter. In line with Order 41.3, the matter was referred to the committee. We go to observation on Fridays. Observation of findings, page 4. After carefully studying the submissions and oral testimonies of the petitioner and respondent, the committee observed as follows. 1, that the complaint of the petitioner Yusuf Saidu that he was owed certain benefits by the BBE was correct. 2, that BBE was able to examine the petition and calculate the extent of his indebtedness to the petitioner and willingly clear the debt. That the committee was happy that it was able to resolve the matter amicably. Recommendation from the findings just above, the committee wishes to recommend as follows: that Senate do commend the Bureau of Public Enterprises for being truthful and for amicably resolving the matter by paying the petitioner Yusuf Saidu. Thank you, Mr. President. This matter.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the recommendation that the Senate do commend the BPE for being truthful and for amicably resolving the matter by paying petitioner Yusuf Saidu. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Samuel, next report.
Thank you, Mr. President, dear colleagues. The Senate will record that on Thursday, 3rd November 2016, Rising Order 41 Senator Samuel Imo East drew the attention of the Senate to a petition from CAC Joseph against the University of Niger Teaching Hospital, Enugu, for alleged unjust retirement from service, and urged the Senate to look into the matter. In line with Order 41, the matter was referred to the committee. Observations on findings. After going through oral and written submissions of both petitioner and respondent, the committee observed as follows. 1, that the petitioner, Mr. CAC Joseph, actually joined the service of the University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital, Enugu, as a hospital orderly in 1974, with first school living certificate, and rose to the post of principal superintendent on 1st January 1999. 2, that when the petitioner CAC Joseph returned from an in-service training in London, he was converted to an anesthetic technician on 1st April 1982 and continued to enjoy uninterrupted promotions to the post of principal superintendent. 3. That the management of the University of Niger Teaching Hospital, Enugu Road, both Westminster Hospital and Cardiologic Institute, London, to ascertain the status of the testimonials given to the petitioner. And they replied that the training CAC Joseph was given was not a formal course. 4. That 2 separate management boards of the hospital had considered Joseph's petition and found it lacking in merit, and that the management decision was communicated to him via a letter dated 29 December 1994. 5. That the petitioner CAC Joseph and other 200 staff of the hospital were either retired or dismissed from service based on the recommendation of the special committee set up to examine the continuity of staff who had disciplinary matters pursuant to Public Officers Special Provisions Decree number 19 of 1984. 6. That the petitioner Joseph accepted his retirement in writing on 30th April 1999 and had been paid his gratuity and other retirement benefits and had been receiving his pension since then. Recommendation. Following the findings above, the committee wishes to recommend that the decision of the Management Board of the University of Niger Teaching Hospital in Enugu to retire the petitioner, Mr. CAC Joseph, be sustained, and since his retirement followed due process. Thank you.
Point of order.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, because of the remaining reports that we have to take, I move that this Senate suspends its order 13 to enable us to sit beyond 2 o'clock.
Mr. President, I second the motion as moved by the leader.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, in the report, just don't have to go to recommendation. Those in favor of that recommendation, that the decision of the Management Board of the University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital Enugu to retire the petitioner, Mr. CAC Joseph, be sustained since his retirement followed due process. Those in favor of the say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator, our next report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dear colleagues, the Senate will record that on Wednesday, 29 March 2017, Rising Order 41, Senator Mawu Abonwa Abiano drew the attention of the Senate to a petition from his constituent, Professor Emmanuel Ume Lekwa Imaga, against the University of Niger Soka of his wrongful dismissal from the service of the university for alleged gross misconduct, and urged the Senate to look into the matter. In line with Order 41.3, the matter was referred to the committee. Observations and findings. After carefully studying the submission and oral presentations of Professor Emmanuel Ume Lekwa Imaga and Professor Benjamin Chukuma Uzumba, Vice Chancellor, University of Nigeria Soka, the committee noted as follows. 1. That Professor Emmanuel Ume Lekwa Imaga was an academic staff of the University of Nigeria Soka and had put in over 22 years of service in the university. 2. That he was alleged to have initiated an illegal certificate program, admitting students, collecting fees from them, and issuing certificates on behalf of the university without approval from the Vice Chancellor and the Senate of the university. 3. That the Vice Chancellor of UNN neither provided evidence of the report of the investigating committee that indicted Professor Imaga, nor a copy of the certificate allegedly signed by him before the committee to substantiate his claim that Professor Imaga was involved in gross misconduct that ended in dismissal. 4. That from the copy of some of the statements of result issued by the Institute for Development Studies of UNN Enugu campus and made available by the petitioner, the committee observed that the results were signed by one Mr. C.C. Ezerama, who was designated as the Institute Secretary then. 5. That the dismissal of Professor Imaga might have a political undertone as he was at that time desirous of vying for the post of Vice Chancellor of the University of Nigeria Soka. And 6. That because evidence was not provided to support the claim of UNN that Imaga was guilty of gross misconduct, the committee is unable to accept mere claims as truth. Recommendation. In view of the findings above, the committee hereby recommends as follows: that the Senate do now resolve the University of Nigeria Soka should restate and retire Professor Emmanuel Ume Lekwa Imaga and pay all his entitlements because the university was unable to prove his guilt with evidence. And 2, that the Senate the Senate Committee on Education, Tertiary be mandated to ensure compliance. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of recommendations 1 and 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you, Senator Samaya. Your next report.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. The Senate will record that on Thursday, 5th July 2018, Resident Order 41, Senator James Managers, Delta South, drew the attention of the Senate to a petition from Omina Boss Odre Austin against the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation for alleged wrongful dismissal from the service of the corporation and urged the Senate to look into the matter. In line with Order 41.3, the matter was brought to the Committee on Ethics. We go to observation of findings. Item 5.0 on page 5, observation of findings. After carefully studying the submissions and oral presentations of the petitioner, Mr. Ominiabos Audrey Austin and the respondent, Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, the committee noted as follows. 1. That Mr. Ominiabos Audrey was a staff of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation from October 1985 and was one of the staff of the Suleja Depot that were dismissed from the service of the NNPC on the 25th April 2017 because of their roles in the fire incident that occurred in the depot on the 29th January 2017. 2. That a number of staff were involved in that case and 2 superior officers were retired from service, while 2 others, including Mr. Ominiabos, were dismissed. 3. That Mr. Ominiabos and 1 Amidu Father, on their own, illegally arranged to evacuate a sump pit without the approval of the acting depot manager, Mrs. Eka G.H., an event that ended up with a fire incident in which NNPC lost PMS petrol worth 91,296,800 naira beside other equipment and infrastructure. 4. That the dismissal followed due process as the matter was examined by 3 different committees which took oral and written statements from those involved. 5. That the Committee on Ethics is unable to disagree with the findings and decisions of NNPC on the matter as no evidence was available to the contrary. Recommendations. In view of the findings above, the committee hereby recommends as follows. That having found no basis upon which they recommend otherwise, the Senate hereby sustains this dismissal of Mr. Ominiabos Audrey Austin as his dismissal followed due process. Thank you, Mr. President, colleagues, for the opportunity to serve.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the recommendation that having found no basis of which to recommend otherwise, the Senate hereby sustains dismissal of Mr. Ominiabos Audrey Austin as his dismissal for the due process. Those in favor of that recommendation say aye. Those against say nay. Yes, I have. Senator Samaya, next report.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. The Senate will record that on Tuesday, 25th October 2016, Rising Order 41, Senator Solomon Olomeko Adiola, Lagos West, drew the attention of the Senate to a petition from his constituent, Mr. Musa Adesina Akiemi, against the Nigerian Shippers Council over his dismissal from the service of the council without any wrongdoing and urged the Senate to look into the matter. In line with Order 41.3, the matter was brought to the committee. Go to observation and findings. Item 5.0 on page 5, observation and findings. After carefully studying the submissions and oral presentations of Mr. Musa Adesina Akiemi and the Nigerian Shippers Council, the committee noted as follows. 1. That Mr. Musa Adesina Akiemi was employed by the Nigerian Shippers Council in 1991 as an operations assistant and was retrenched in 1995 as a result of staff reorganization in accordance with federal government's circular and directive. 2. That in the process of the reorganization, the operations assistant cadre was scrapped by the council, and this informed the disengagement of Mr. Musa Adesina and 7 others whose services were no longer required by the council. 3. That the petitioner did not challenge his disengagement until after 9 years, that Mr. Musa Adesina began to make frantic efforts for his reabsorption into the Nigerian Shippers Council by petitioning various bodies like Office of the Public Defender, Lagos State Ministry of Justice, Micro Chambers, and National Human Rights Commission after so long, in the hope that he would succeed. 4, that since Mr. Musa Adesina Akiemi was not accused of any wrongdoing, but was rather affected by staff reorganization, the termination of his appointment should be sustained. 5, that the letter of dismissal issued him at the point of his disengagement be withdrawn, and 1, terminating his appointment be issued immediately, and if there will be any entitlement on his engagement, he be paid. Recommendation. In view of the findings above, the committee hereby recommend as follows: that the decision of the Nigerian Shippers Council to terminate the appointment of Mr. Musa Adesina Akiemi on account of staff reorganization of the council ordered by the federal government be sustained. 2, that the letter of dismissal issued him at the point of disengagement be withdrawn, and 1, terminating his appointment be issued immediately to correct the impression that he was dismissed. And 3, that his entitlements on his disengagement, if any, be paid without any further delay. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of recommendations 1 to 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you, Senator Samaya. Next report.
Thank you, Mr. President, colleagues. The Senate will record that on Tuesday, 23rd January 2018, Rising Order 41, Senator Robert A. Brofis, Ondo North, drew the attention of the Senate to a petition from his constituent, Dr. George A. Omogon, against the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology and the Nigerian Institute for Trapezosis Research, Kaduna, for non-payment of his emoluments, and urged the Senate to look into the matter. In line with Order 41.3, the matter was referred to the committee for respective action. Observation and findings. On page 5, item number 5.0, observation and findings. After going through the oral and written submissions and positions taken by the petitioner and respondents, the committee noted as follows. 1. Though Dr. George Omo Ogun felt unfairly and unjustly treated in the matter of his untimely retirement and the benefits thereof, he, however, became satisfied after meeting with officials of Nigerian Institute of Trapezosis Research, Kaduna, by the help of the committee. And 2, that after a healthy discussion and sorting out of financial discrepancies with officials of the Research Institute, Dr. George A. Omogun officially informed the committee in writing that he was satisfied with the outcome of the hearing, thanked her for helping to clarify things and for bringing the matter to a peaceful end. Recommendation. Following from the observations made in the foregoing, the committee recommends as follows: that the Senate do commend the Ministry of Science and Technology and Nigerian Institute of Trapezosis Research for agreeing to amicably resolve the non-payment of emolument matter between it and Dr. George Omogo to the satisfaction of both parties. Thank you, Mr. President, for this.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the recommendation that the Senate do commend the Ministry of Science and Technology and the Nigerian Institute of Trapezosis Research for agreeing to amicably resolve the non-payment amendment matter between it and Dr. John Omogo to the satisfaction of the parties involved. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you, Senator Samaya. Next report.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Senate will recall that on Wednesday, 17th May 2017, Rising Order 41, Senator Andrews E. Oba, Anambra South, drew the attention of the Senate to a petition from Ms. Monica Okafor against the National Biotechnology Development Agency, Abuja, for alleged wrongful termination of her appointment by the agency, and urged the Senate to look into the matter. In line with Order 41.3, the matter was referred to the committee. Also to observation and findings. Item 5.0 and point 9. After going through an oral and written submission of both petitioner and respondent, the committee observed as follows. 1. That the petitioner, Ms. Monica Okafor, was actually employed by the National Biotechnology Development Agency on 14 October 2002 as a scientific officer 2 in biotechnology entrepreneurship. 2. That the National Biotechnology Development Agency usually encourages scientific/research officers to go for studies in order to acquire relevant knowledge for effective and efficient functioning of the agency. And it was based on this policy that the petitioner, Ms. Monica Okafor, secured the admission to do her master's degree program on sustainable energy technologies and management in Brunel University, West London. 3. That unfortunately, Ms. Monica Okafor was not financially prepared for her overseas program, as she turned the burden of tuition and other living expenses, which was exclusively the responsibility of such staff, over to the agency, and the agency, not having budgetary provisions for such, turned it down. 4, that on discovering that she could not continue with the program, she hung around the office, and this was understood to mean that she has resumed duty from the study leave, and was therefore transferred to a Bioresources Development Center, UDI, Bayelsa State, where her services were badly needed, but she declined. 5, that this eventually led to the termination of her appointment after she was found to have written so many petitions to many places and authorities, a development that brought the agency into disrepute. And 6, that although her behavior as a civil servant was really not in tandem with the public service rules, the committee pleaded with the acting the Director General to give her another chance, especially in view of the trouble she had gone through. The Director General promised to do something about the matter. Recommendation. Following the committee's intervention on behalf of the petitioner and the eventual acceptance of National Biotechnology Development Agency to consider the committee's request, it wishes to recommend as follows: that since the Director General has agreed to reconsider returning Ms. Monica Okafor to her job, she should be restated and paid all her entitlements from the time she is restated onward. Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity.
Distinguished colleagues, recommendation that since the Director General has agreed to reconsider returning Mr. Monica Okafor to her job, she should be reinstated and paid all entitlements from the time she is reinstated onward. Those in favor of this recommendation say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Let me particularly, on behalf of all of my colleagues, thank the Chairman of Ethics and Privileges for this excellent work and that you have done and your committee has done. You've really done so well in addressing a lot of petitions, and I'm sure it takes a lot of tedious and hard work. I must commend your effort, and that you've done all throughout this 8th Senate. And today is another example of such hard work. We commend you. Yes, Deputy Leader.
Well, just to bring to the notice of the Senate President as a reminder that distinguished Senator Bala Ibn Allah is the Vice Chairman of the Senate Committee on Public Petitions.
Let me with that piece of information also commend the Vice Chairman for providing great support, guidance to the committee from his experience as being part of leadership and his previous experience in the Green Chamber. Just two announcements we have here, just before, because I see that we have concluded all today's proceedings. There are 2 announcements. One, letter from Mr. President, and then announcement on bill for conference. Letter from Mr. President. Dear distinguished Senate President, renewal of the appointment of Godwin Emefiele as Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria in view of the expiration of the first tenure of the current Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria on June 2nd, 2019, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 812 of the Central Bank of Nigeria Act 2007, I hereby present for confirmation by the Senate Mr. Godwin I. Emefiele for reappointment as Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria for a final term of 5 years. It is my hope that the distinguished Senate will consider and confirm the nominee in the usual expeditious manner. Please accept, Senate President, the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Mahmoud Buhari. Bill for conference, Nigeria Postal Service Bill 2019 SB 106. The Senate has passed the above bill with difference. Committee members, Gilbert Niger as chairman, Abu Ibrahim, Abdul Aziz Nyako, Bola Dada, Issa, Misa, and Philip Aduda. Please kindly meet with your counterparts in the House of Representatives for the conference. Distinguished colleagues, having concluded all today's proceedings on the other paper, I hereby adjourn the Senate till Tuesday, 14 May 2019, 10 a.m. prompt.
main pivotal discourse geared towards bringing economic growth is still the focus of our Nigerian legislators. We want to especially thank you for being part of today's today's plenary. We do hope you join us next week, 14th May 2019. But until then, do remember that we cannot be categorized as being civilized until we have this focus that we are our brothers' keepers. And let's think of what we can do for Nigeria and not what only Nigeria can do for us. Until I come your way again next week, I am Christy Audagi saying, let's stay united.